My name is Allie Haynes, and today I will be walking you through the life of Mary Rowlandson and Olive Oatman, two women who wrote Indian captivity narratives in early American history. I will analyze their narratives and compare them to a modern-day media account of an Indian captivity on a TV show called Hell on Wheels. Let's get started. Mary Rowlandson was a colonial American woman who was captured by Native Americans during King Philip's War in Lancaster, Massachusetts in 1675. Some of her family was killed, and she was separated from all but one of her children. Rowlandson was taken by the natives, and 9 days after the attack on Lancaster, her daughter dies. After her daughter's death, Rowlandson finds a strong relationship with God. She is given a Bible by one of the natives, and she thanks God for this good sign. All throughout her captivity, she related all the good that came to her to God. Rowlandson eventually meets King Philip, the Native American tribe leader, and she receives money and food when she makes articles of clothing for his family and other natives. In her 19th remove, Rowlandson was redeemed for 20 pounds. Rowlandson was finally returned home, and she thanks God that, despite living among savages, none had ever sexually violated her physically or verbally. She related her entire survival to God and was reunited with her husband and surviving children. We are jumping a few centuries ahead to 1851 and looking at a young woman named Olive Oatman. Oatman was a 14-year-old girl who came from a Mormon family. Her parents broke away from a Mormon leader named Brigham Young because they disagreed with his leadership in Salt Lake City, Utah. On their journey to the west, they were attacked by the Yavapai, and Olive Oatman and her younger sister Mary Ann were taken for slaves while their parents and other siblings were killed. Olive was 14 and her sister was 7 at the time. During their captivity, they were used as slaves and were frequently beaten. A year into their captivity, the Mojave, a different native tribe, visited the Yavapai village and traded 2 horses, vegetables, and blankets for the 2 girls. The Mojave were nicer to the girls, and they marked both of the Oatman girls on their chins with blue cactus tattoos to adopt them into their tribal customs. Unfortunately, a drought struck the Mojave village within a year the girls were there, and Mary Ann died of starvation. Olive Oatman lived with the Mojave for 4 years until an Imperial County officer found her living among them, and by threatening the natives, he was able to save her. At 19 years old, Olive was reunited with her brother Lorenzo, who survived his injury when they were attacked 5 years ago. Olive denied that she had ever been married to a Mojave leader or was ever sexually mistreated by either tribe. So now that you know the story of Mary Rowlandson and Olive Oatman, you can see that even though they are centuries apart from each other, there are similarities in their captivity. Both of the girls were religious. Although Rowlandson was Christian and Oatman was Mormon, they both related their survival to God. They both reported having never been sexually abused by the Native Americans. Also, when they were released from captivity, they were both reunited with family and made headlines throughout early America. Many people fell in love with these women's stories. However, just as there were supporters, there were also people who criticized the validity of their stories. Even today, people are skeptical of what really happened with these girls. A modern-day TV show called Hell on Wheels can be seen as a criticism of these early captivity narratives. This is a fictional show that takes place in post-Civil War era around 1865 and focuses on the growing transcontinental railroad. One character in this show is Eva Oates, who is supposed to represent the real-life Olive Oatman. In this picture, you can see the character Eva on the right and her similarities to Olive Oatman on the left. In the show, Eva is a girl who was captured by Indians, and on her release, she faced discrimination because of her tattoos and could be nothing but a prostitute. This is much different from what we actually know about Olive Oatman, who lived a happy life with a cattleman. Eva also denies ever having been raped by the native, but this was due to her having the pox rather than God's grace. Later in the series, Eva meets Brigham Young, who she disagrees to follow back to the Mormon community in Salt Lake City. The following clip is from Hell on Wheels, where Eva talks with Brigham Young.
You know who I am, young lady?
My mama taught me to love you, same as I love Jesus and Joseph Smith,
You're Mormon.
Jack Mormon. We was on our way to Salt Lake City when the Yavapai
time amongst the Lamanites.
I thought I'd have myself a nice Mormon husband when I was grown. Family of sister wives. I thought I'd spend every Sunday in the temple, listening to the line of the Lord preach the word. I thought I'd spend my whole life spitting distance from me.
You would have been very welcome in Zion, child.
Instead, I got this parked up face, a little bit of Indian magic, and a brothel full of whores.
Notice in that video how Eva was on her way to Utah when she was attacked, which is opposite of the real story of Olive Oatman when she left Utah with her family because of Brigham Young. In the second video, we learn Eva's background and the striking similarities it has to Olive Oatman's story. However, the similarities are shown and it's just degraded as she is called a prostitute.
Eva, too, formerly Eva Oates, endured a rough childhood on the Texas frontier before her family fell victim to a vicious Indian attack in 1853. Eva's subsistence life of servitude ended 7 years later when she was spotted by a soldier at Fort Union. But a return to civilization did not mark the end of her hardships.
Go on. I want to hear what folks in New York are reading about me.
Eva found herself in the Nebraska Territory, a cut-rate railroad dove.
And me whore.
So why does modern television portray Oatman in this way? Was it for the sake of the drama in the show, or perhaps it was a way to criticize Oatman's story? At the end of the TV series, Eva rides off into the sunset and the audience never learns what she will do with her life. Perhaps this is a reference to how unsure people are about Olive Oatman's captivity story. Not only Oatman's story, but maybe other women's captivity narratives, such as Mary Rowlandson's. Although we may never know what these women reported in their narratives was completely accurate, even with centuries between Native American captivity narratives, we still see many similarities, especially in faith, religion, and purity.